Evening, everyone. It's right on 6:30. Just like to open the meeting, sort of welcome everybody, and I've acknowledged the country that's standing on this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung people, and we wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians and pay our respects to their elders past and present. And we extend that respect to all our members out of our community. Thank you. Item 2, present and apologies. Note that all councillors are present. There's no apologies. Any sort of the officers? Do we have an apology for our Gihan?
Gihan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. The manager of finance. Now, also, councillors, I've been advised that a request has been received for an item of urgent business concerning the Queenscliff Hub auditorium fees. The proposed item will be considered when we reach item 18 at urgent business. Thank you. Item 3, conflict of interest disclosures. I'd like to also, on this item, I'd like to declare that Councillor Gregow, declare general conflict of interest in relation to 13.1 planning permit activity report for July 2026, deferred from previous agenda, and 13.2 planning permit activity report for August 2026, as one of the planning permit matters relates to a property that is in close proximity to my residence. Call for any other conflicts of interest?
Yes, I also have the conflict of interest with the same property, 13.1 and 13.2, July and August.
What matter of conflict would you be declaring, as in the nature?
I've actually quoted one of the job.
So,
Yep,
material.
Yep.
Thank you. Item 4, anyone else? Officers, councillors, CEO? No?
No.
Item 4, leave of absence. There's no leave of absence on the register to consider. So next item, sort of a motion that I'd like to bring a motion that council alters the order of business to consider the following items immediately after item 4, which we've just completed, in the order listed as 1. Item 8.1, notice of motion status update. Another alteration 2. Item 8.2, motion of notice number 2026/604, a nomination for Fort Queenscliff to the National Heritage List. And the other third change would be item 15.1, climate change emergency response plan, the CERP, emergency engagement roadmap. The following consideration of item 15.1 of the meeting will be resumed, and the published order of our business at item 5. Since I moved the motion, I request for a seconder.
Yes, I seconded it.
Councillor Rule, yep. All those in favour? Thank you. None opposed. Thank you. Now we'll move to item, since we're changing the order now, the next item will be item 8, notice of motion. 8.1, notice of motion status update. There's no notices of motion are outstanding. 8.2, notice of motions on notice 2026/604, nomination for Fort Queenscliff to the National Heritage List. In accordance with the Borough of Queenscliff governance rules, notice was received by the CEO of the following motion on the 17th of August 2026. I call upon the submitter of the notice of motion.
Councillor Rule, I have submitted the following motion, that Council notes that Fort Queenscliff is currently the subject of a proposed divestment from the Commonwealth Department of Defence to the Department of Finance. 2, notes that anyone may nominate a place to the National Heritage List, and that nominations must set out the heritage qualities or values of the place that are of outstanding significance to the nation. 3, notes that the Australian Government Minister for the Environment and Water has announced this year's National Heritage List round, and it will conclude on the 16th of October. 4, resolves to prepare and submit a nomination of Fort Queenscliff to the National Heritage List in accordance with the guidance published by the Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water. And 5, requests that council officers report back to council on the progress of that nomination.
I am happy with this motion, Councillor Rule, and I'm very happy to second that. Would you like to speak to that motion, please?
Thank you, Mayor, I would. In support of this motion, I would like to outline the following. The motion asks officers to prepare and submit a nomination of Fort Queenscliff to the National Heritage List before October 16 this year. And I'm trying to be conscious that I'm speaking to you, councillors, about this, not to those in the room tonight or those watching the live stream. So as an aside, I'd like to be able to remind you that Carmen Bell has continued her heritage advocacy for our borough, and it's thanks to the email that Carmen sent just before I went away last month that we're aware of the need to list this property on the National Heritage List and the possibility of the fort being there. Carmen's meticulously set out a draft application, which I'm sure will be very useful in compiling our application, and indeed it's been very useful for me for this notice of motion. And councillors, I'd like to also suggest that we thank and congratulate those who contributed last Monday to the Senate inquiry held at the Town Hall. Thank them for their time and effort needed to compose the statements and then for sitting through those 3 hours to present them. We're all in their debt. Can I remind you that this motion doesn't stand alone? It follows directly from the one we took on the 25th of February on the proposed divestment of Fort Queenscliff and some of Swan Island. In that earlier motion, we were clear that Council has no formal view on whether the divestment itself should proceed. We agreed that it's a decision for the Commonwealth, but we were equally clear that Council's role is to ensure that whatever future ownership looks like, the fort's heritage, public value and community benefit are protected in perpetuity. That earlier motion set out 6 areas Council was asked to write to the government and did to ask the government to address before any sale. 1, heritage, history and identity. 2, public access and community use. 3, environmental and coastal protection. 4, planning and governance controls. 5, economic and social benefit to our community. And 6, precedent and risk. It's certainly worth looking at that document again, councillors. In the letters that we wrote to the Minister for Defence and the Minister for Finance as a consequence of that motion, we asked too that the government conduct heritage assessments consistent with those detailed in the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act 1999 and any relevant state legislation. Tonight's motion is how we follow through on those requests in a way that's within our power. One thing this council can do is seek to put in place a durable, independent statutory layer of protection that survives any change of ownership, exactly what the National Heritage List does. Once a place is listed, its national heritage values are protected under Commonwealth law, regardless of who owns it. That's the single most effective safeguard available to us for the concerns we raised in that earlier motion. Consider how directly a national heritage listing speaks to what we've already asked the government to consider. On heritage, history and identity, the listing formally recognises the fort's national and state significance and protects its fabric, sightlines and coastal setting as a matter of law, not goodwill. On access and community use, while the listing doesn't itself guarantee public access, it creates a statutory hook that any future planning approval, covenant or state negotiation must contend with, strengthening our hand in seeking guaranteed not discretionary access. On environmental and coastal protection and on planning and governance controls, a listed place attracts a higher bar of Commonwealth scrutiny for any development, which reinforces the planning overlays and enforceable conditions we've asked the Commonwealth to put in place before any sale. And on precedent, this is a nationally significant defence heritage site. If there's any concern about the precedent set by disposing of such an asset into private ownership, securing the strongest available heritage protection before that sale proceeds is the most concrete thing this council can do. Importantly, this costs council nothing but the effort of preparing a sound nomination, and with Carmen's suggestions as a guide, we will. Any member of the public can nominate a place to the list, and the department told Ms Bell plainly that a nomination for Fort Queenscliff would be welcome. A successful application would give effect in the most practical way available to us to the commitment we made to this community in February that the fort's heritage and public value will be protected in perpetuity, whatever form future ownership takes. I commend the motion to council.
Thank you, Councillor Rule. I reserve my right of to address. Are there anybody opposing the motion? I'll put it to a vote then. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 15, caring for the borough. Item 15.1 is our next item on the agenda, Climate Emergency Response Plan, the SERP, Community Engagement Roadmap. We have the officer in charge of communications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, councillors and CEO. Taking the report as read, I would like to summarise the proposed SERP Review Community Engagement Roadmap paper for your consideration this evening. This report details our engagement plan for reviewing the 5-year Climate Emergency Response Plan. Partnering with independent agency nation partners, we have designed an approach that ensures a process that will deliver a practical, place-based climate strategy with realistic priorities and, importantly, measurable outcomes. We've worked very hard to ensure that this process will be open to everyone in different ways. We are launching an open access environment pillar listening post to start with so that any resident can walk in and share their feedback with our councillors. We're also opening an expression of interest process for targeted stakeholder roundtables. The engagement outcome document created from these sessions will go straight to public exhibition for further community feedback. This multi-method review ensures that everyone who cares about the environment has an opportunity to contribute to this new document's development. We are not discarding any past efforts. Very importantly, we are building directly on the foundation heavily driven by our community, including invaluable input from QCAM. To clarify the roundtable process, using an EOI for representative cohort development is a best practice under Victoria's guidelines for inclusive engagement. It intentionally seeks to bring younger residents, renters, people that are from quieter demographics to the table, ensuring that the strategy isn't shaped solely by the loudest voices in the community. This method also meets IAP2 involvement and collaboration standards, fostering a long-term commitment to transparency and ensuring that we hear voices of people who care about this issue. So it is with your endorsement that we are ready to commence our Climate Emergency Action Plan 5-year review process. We look forward to moving from a climate emergency declaration into this new critical phase of action delivery. Happy to take any questions.
Councillors? Anyone? That's all. Tolhurst? Monahan? No doubt? Call for a move. A recommendation at the moment, or do you have is there a motion?
Yes, I was going to move the motion as the recommendation reads, that is, that Council endorses the Engagement Plan Roadmap Climate Strategy SERP 5-year review.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Monahan. Councillor Rule, would like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Monahan. Has anybody opposed?
I'd just like to speak against the motion.
Yeah, sure.
And I use this opportunity to speak against it to raise what I perceive to be some remaining risks with the proposal and some deficiencies, but on balance I do support the motion and a new and more considered way of undertaking consultation. I think providing nation partners with the independence to do their work is important for a robust process, and including a period of backgrounding and context setting will support meaningful participation. But what's missing in my view, and it was alluded to, McKenna, is the evidence of the matrix or the mechanism that will show how representation will be achieved in the roundtable members. I support panel models. As you say, they're widely recognised as being effective where they are representative, but because so much rests in this group and they will have the largest influence on the review and design of whatever policy, strategy or document emerges, it must be clear how they're selected, in my view. This will build trust in the process and provide greater consistency with Council's own community engagement policy. There's also limited opportunity for the broader community and those who've engaged directly in the SERP over the past 5 years to give feedback to the review. Whether those experiences were positive or negative or completely neutral, these are important things to consider in terms of a future approach to tackling climate change. With a community of people who have worked very hard to develop and implement the SERP in mind, I have scrutinised the process. I have sought and seen changes to the process. It is not perfect in my view, but I'm willing to give it a go. I do thank officers, yourself, McKenna, Jane and the team, nation partners and the CEO for addressing risks I've presented and the feedback I've provided to date. For example, the fact that specific opportunities now exist for our non-resident ratepayer cohort is both positive and essential. This cohort has represented upward of 50% of our ratepayer base in some recent years, and the plan has certainly come a long way from where it started. I'll simply conclude by saying that any consultation Council undertakes, the process must promote integrity and seek to build trust. It is not known at this point whether this one will succeed on all those fronts, but it is the first step of a broader review and I'm willing to give it a go. With these stated, as I said, I do support the motion and hope that this is a positive approach to engagement that serves the Council, community and our response to climate change.
Would you like to move it? Would you like to respond? Seconder? No, so put it to a vote. All those in favour? So it passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks, councillors.
Thank you. Okay. Since we've moved the motion to move some agenda items, we'll resume back to the current agenda. We're resuming at item 5, public question time. There's no 5.1 public questions status update. There's no public questions that are outstanding. 5.2 public questions. We're now here to address public questions. Just a reminder that public question time is conducted in accordance with the Council's governance rules. I remind submitters that the Chair will accept one question, that's public question per submitter, that questions are to be directed through the Chair and the debate is not permitted. I'll allow for maximum of 30 minutes here on public questions, and I'll invite each submitter to read their questions if present. Otherwise, the questions or direct that it will be read. I'll move for the first question, which is Robert Patterson. Would you like to come up and read your question, please? Or would you like me to read it?
No, I can manage, thank you.
Yes, you want to come up? Thank you.
Would you like to
Come up to... Let's see.
I'm not used to this stuff. Is that correct? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Council, and thank you, CEO. The question is about the Queenscliff SERP Review 2026 Letition Open Letter. Why have so many residents of the borough received no response from the Council, the CEO or councillors to the 249 Queenscliff SERP Review 2026 Letition Open Letters delivered to the Council from residents over the past few months? Thank you.
Thank you. Response from the CEO.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Thank you for the question, Robert, and we did have a good conversation the other day. Council received 221 letitions from 156 individuals. 78 were from the borough, 75 resided outside the borough, and 53 which resided outside the postcode of 325. And 3 submitters' addresses were unreadable. Council officers emailed a response to those submitters, and for those without emails, hard copies were sent. We can also advise that several letters were returned and emails bounced back due to provided email addresses or addresses on the letitions being incorrect. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Public question number 2 is from David Kendall on behalf of the Friends of Victoria Park. David.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Subsequent to Council revoking CP 054 Victoria Park, it's unclear what written policy assurances remain to protect the park's environmental reserves and amenity while expanding access to the park. Our particular concerns include the apparent lack of Borough of Queenscliff documentation that states explicitly that the Victoria Park regeneration areas will continue to be treated as general parkland and neither camping nor overflow parking will be allowed. The current status of the overflow parking provision in CPO 54 policy and the coloured-coded maps that support earlier versions of the policy. Our question is, what policies remain to protect the park's environmental reserves and amenity into the future?
Thank you, David. We got the response from the Manager of Customer Experience.
Thanks for your question, David. Council has made a commitment to the revegetation area through fencing it off and by being actively involved in providing planting advice and support. As the camping and revegetation areas are clearly delineated through fencing, the map is no longer required. Victoria Park can be appropriately managed through existing operational controls, Council's vegetation management framework and relevant Crown land and caravan park requirements. As highlighted in previous Council reports, the revoking of the policy does not remove Council's ability or obligation to manage Victoria Park responsibly. Rather, it would allow ongoing management to continue through the practical mechanisms that are now in place and operating effectively. Officers are unaware of what overflow parking is being referred to, as there is no reference in the revoked policy CP 054.
Thank you, Ms Tatterson. Public question number 3 is from Keith Stokes. Keith's not here? No. So, this question, does Council perform ongoing reviews to ensure compliance with applications and all declared conditions and determine that thoroughfares and access points remain safe and accessible to pedestrians and those with mobility devices, in accordance with the Borough of Queenscliff Access and Inclusion Plan of 2025 to 2029. Call on the response from the Manager of Community and Regulatory Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your question, Keith. The law enforcement team on behalf of Council issue and review footpath trading permits annually. That includes outdoor dining permit conditions. In addition to this, officers proactively enforce footpath trading permit compliance throughout the year, investigate and address reports of obstructions and access complaints. This includes compliance with 1.2 metres of minimum clearance of footpath space to meet pedestrian access and mobility scooter requirements.
Thank you. Public question number 4, Jenny Barrett. Yeah, Jenny's not here, but just in regard, she actually submitted 3 questions, and I'll just go for the first one, and the rest ones will taken on notice and will be emailed to her. Given the climate change emergency plan community engagement roadmap offers very limited opportunities for people to be involved in the process of reviewing the SERP, will Council record and make public? The first question is, record how many members of the community attend the listening post on next Monday, August the 31st. We've got the response from the Manager of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for the question, Jenny. It's proposed that following the listing post and the roundtable engagement activities, the independent engagement facilitator, Nation Partners, will provide an engagement outcome report. This report will be shared with the community and will include attendee numbers.
Thank you. Public question number 5 from Glenn Ford. So let's stay there. So Glenn's not here, so no. So his question is, why is Council proposing a process which does not comply with its community engagement policy, especially the principles of accessibility, inclusivity, and offering participants non-time dependent methods through which to participate? The response from the Manager of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you. Thank you for your question, Glenn. Our proposed engagement approach aligns with CP 003's inclusivity guidelines because it combines engagement methods designed to reach different participants and capture a range of community perspectives. The 2 roundtables allow a selected cross-section of the community members to explore matters in detail, while the public listening post creates an additional face-to-face opportunity for people outside the roundtables to contribute. Public exhibition of the draft climate strategy will provide a non-time dependent option, enabling community members who cannot attend an event at a set time to review the material and provide feedback during the exhibition period. Using these complementary methods supports CP 003's aim of making engagement accessible, including different groups and parts of the community and allowing broad participation. Council also recognises the clear notice, accessible information and adequate time to respond are necessary to put these inclusivity principles into practice, and will consider these requirements as the engagement process proceeds.
Thank you. There's question 6 from David Meyer. And the question he proposes is is he here? No? No, I didn't see him. Do you really believe that this approach and the proposed listening post and the limited scope consultation panels containing just 40 people carefully selected by Council without input from the community constitute a fair and adequate service to this deeply engaged community? Does it ensure local climate expectations shape municipal priorities?
Thank you, David. The themes of this question have been largely addressed in the answer to the last question. In summary, the multiple engagement methods are designed to maximise engagement reach while facilitating accessible opportunities to explore matters in detail, as well as providing community members with a non-time dependent alternative for participation. This will achieve representative input from the community.
Thank you. Public's question number 7 from Jenny Brown. Jenny's here. Yes, Jenny, like to read your question?
The Council Papers 15.1 that's just been passed and the consultancy firm Nation Partners engagement paper both indicate that as part of the Climate Emergency Response Plan review process, a draft climate strategy will be publicly exhibited, inviting wider community feedback before being finalised. So my question is, how will community feedback on a draft council climate strategy be documented in council records and shared with the community? Thank you.
So thank you. The response from the Manager of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Jenny. It is proposed that following consideration of feedback received during public exhibition of the draft revised climate strategy, Council will write to community members who made submissions. The correspondence will outline which elements of community feedback were incorporated into the revised draft strategy, which were not, and the rationale for Council's approach.
Thank you. Next question is question 8 from Graham Hobbs. Is Graham here? No, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for the opportunity to ask this question. I'm President of the National Trust of Victoria, Geelong branch and region, and is a founding member of the Defend the Fort Queensland Alliance. My question is, while recognising Fort Queenscliff's unique heritage nationally, why not obtain UNESCO World Heritage status for future generations? I note that the fort has been classified A by the National Trust of Victoria to be preserved at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Got the response from the Manager of Community and Regulatory Services.
Thank you for your question, Graham. As per the notice of motion tonight, Council intends to nominate Fort Queenscliff on the National Heritage List to help recognise and protect the heritage values of the site. Council has no immediate plans to obtain UNESCO World Heritage nomination at this point.
Thank you. We've got public question number 9. Lee Corbett on behalf of the Queenscliff Climate Action Now, QCAN.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors and CEO. My question goes to what I would describe as the elephant in the room, or the major barrier between rebuilding trust between councillors and QCAN, who have led the climate emergency response plan for the last 6 years. So we have been informed by council officers that 2 decisions had been taken by councillors regarding the SERP ahead of any review process, one of them being that the council's climate strategy would replace the SERP, and that's documented in the papers that you've already passed, and that is despite a previous council having signed up for a 10-year SERP. We're only halfway through it. The other decision was that council believes there's no climate emergency. There's been no community engagement regarding either of those decisions. QCAN has been informed, but as far as we understand, no public announcement has been made about those decisions. There's been no information provided as to why such decisions were taken, and the evidence, if indeed there was any, informing them. All credible evidence confirms the crisis has worsened since Council declared an emergency in 2019. So my question is the review process that you've just passed intended to remove Council's climate emergency declaration? First question, and if so, how can Council justify such a decision given that only over 2,000 community members called for the declaration in 2019, and all scientific evidence since suggests the consequences of climate change are intensifying? And again, if you do plan to remove the emergency declaration, how does Council intend to incorporate this into the review?
So thank you, Lee. I just remind you, this is one question per public person this evening. The other questions will be taken on notice.
Thank you for that question, Lee, and we've had a number of conversations. Council recognised that the Climate Emergency Declaration has been and is important to many members of our community and has helped establish a strong focus on climate change. As we review the strategy, our intention is not to diminish the importance of climate change or Council's responsibility to respond. We have heard the community feedback about the proposed review and understand for some that it may be seen as reducing Council's commitment. This is not the case, and this is not the intent. Our focus is delivering a contemporary strategy that is ambitious but achievable and reflects the risks facing the community and embed climate's consideration into everyday planning. Infrastructure asset making and decisions. Council has articulated, and I want to make this really clearly, articulated on 7 occasions to QCAM that the council believes that climate change is real and climate is changing. And council is moving from a declaration to delivery. So we need to deliver change. So there is a declaration, but we're making sure that we deliver on that declaration. The declaration was an important point in time. The evolving in strategy represents the next stage of council's response and the importance of continuous improvement and reflection. Thank you.
No, so there's no follow-up question, sorry. That's right. No, sorry, Lee, sorry, can you please sit down? It was like a question. Thank you. Lee, sorry. Thank you. Final question, question 10, since we shuffled the agenda. Sue, Victoria here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Very appreciate the shuffling of the agenda today. I'm very much pleased to announce the establishment of the Defend Fort Queenscliff Alliance. We're an apolitical alliance of concerned organisations and individuals from Queenscliff and beyond who are committed to ensuring that Fort Queenscliff remains in Commonwealth ownership with the fullest possible heritage protection. We want Fort Queenscliff to become the living heart of Queenscliff, as it once was, for different reasons. We want it managed under a public trust and open to the wider community through complementary civic and commercial uses that respect and enhance its heritage values. We are absolutely delighted to see that the Council has unanimously voted tonight to nominate for the Fort for National Heritage listing. We are ready to stand and support that submission in any way we can. Our members include the Queenscliff Point Lonsdale RSL, the Fort Queenscliff Heritage Association, the Queenscliff Historical Museum, the Queenscliff Community Association and the regional branch of the National Trust. We have a number of individual members and we only formed a week and a half ago and our organisational and individual membership is already increasing. One thing that was wonderful at Monday's hearing was to see many other... Can you get to the question, please? Yeah, to see many other people on the same page. Everyone's on the same page about this. So our question is, in light of tonight's decision, how will the Council draw on the existing knowledge and expertise in the community, including the members of the Alliance, to help prepare this submission? It's wonderful to hear about the work that's already been done. It would be wonderful to involve locals.
Thank you for your
well.
question, Sue.
Thank you.
We've got the response from the Manager of Community and Regulatory Services. Thank you. Tim?
Thank you for your question, Sue. It is anticipated the investigation of sources of information on the Fort Queenscliff will be confirmed from the existing Commonwealth Heritage listing and other relevant sources to inform a nomination. Gathering relevant information will likely also be informed by discussions with local groups, as outlined tonight, with an interest and connection with Fort Queenscliff.
Thank you. Okay, that ends public question time. Thank you. We'll get to item 6, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings. 6.1, ordinary council meetings on the 22nd of July 2026. I have a recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 22nd of July 2026 as distributed be confirmed as an accurate record. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Tohers. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cameron? All those in... do I have a... So, is anybody objecting? No? No change? Thank you. So all those in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, that's fine. So we have... Councillor Rule is abstaining from the vote. So you've... Jackie, have you got that? Thank you. 6.2 Ordinary Council meeting on the 22nd of July 2026, confidential minutes. We had a recommendation that the confidential minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting on the 22nd of July 2026 distributed be confirmed as an accurate record of the confidential meeting. Do I have a mover? Councillor Cameron. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Monahan. Do I have any objections? No. So all those in favour? Passed unanimously with Councillor Rule as abstaining. Item 7, record of informal meeting of councillors. We have a record of informal meetings of councillors is included in adjunct to item 7. At the 22nd of July 2026, the Council Assembly briefing, 10th of August 2026, CEO and Councillor meeting, and 12th of August 2026, Council Assembly briefing. Recommendation that the record of the informal meetings of councillors as presented in adjunct item 7 be noted. And do I have a mover? Yes, Councillor Tolhurst. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Monahan. Any objections? All those in favour? All passed unanimously. Thank you. So we skip to and we move to item 9 now. So petitions and joint letters. There's none received. Item 10, functions attended. A recommendation that functions attended report be received. I invite any. Is there any councillors that need to do an addition or a update? Yeah, Councillor Cameron.
I would like to add for the 15th of July that I also attended the community grants and event sponsorship presentation.
Thank you. With that addition, do I have a mover?
Oh, I think Councillor Cameron's moving it with those additions. If I may make things difficult and second it with further additions.
Oh no, can you actually better to, you can't, you
do
have
a
to.
new motion?
Yeah, no, just add to add to the, yeah.
Thank you. I just did not attend the Point Lonsdale Surf Life Saving event on August 8, and I did attend a Geelong Regional Library Corp out of session meeting on Thursday the 16th of July. Thank you.
So I have a recommendation that the functions attended report be received with those alterations and additions. Do I have a mover? Again, Councillor Cameron? Yes. Correct? And a seconder, Councillor Tolhurst. Yes. All those in favour? Thank you. Pass unanimously. Next item is item 11, Chief Executive Officer Report, and it's 11.1, the Chief Executive Officer Report for August 2026. The would you like to present the report, sorry?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. The report for August 2026 focuses on we welcome 2 new Australian citizens, and a great thank you goes out to Alison Marchant MP, Miss Beverly McArthur and Sandy Brady, who was on behalf of the Honourable Gail Tierney, and it provided an opportunity to welcome the new Australian residents into the community. Glass-only curbside recycling advocacy, I'll take it as read, but this month Council wrote to Alison Marchant, member for Bellarine, seeking support for a pause and review. I have a letter that was received today from Alison Marchant, and she's writing in response to the letter dated 31st July regarding this proposed household waste and recycling service standards. She has written to the Minister of Local Government and Environment to share the borough's opposition to the proposed glass-only curbside services, and she is very heartened to see, and I welcome conversations regarding expanding this. The wayfinding strategy, we had 7 people provide feedback. We're going through that feedback. They'll be going through the feedback with each of the people that have provided feedback, and that will inform the strategy. Expressions of interest, I think we had 1 expression of interest for the huts, and the same group has come back for another review of hut usage. The other important meeting that's just held recently, and I think it's really important for the community to know that when we talk around the environment and we talk about work that sometimes goes on behind the scenes, that the Borough of Queenscliff and COG are working together on progressing the planning scheme amendment to rezone the site. The Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and myself met with COG last week to partner and progress Point Lonsdale, the site rezoning, and hopefully in the next couple of days an announcement will be made. So I think that's, again, really positive news, and sometimes work goes on behind the scenes to get to an outcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a recommendation that council... Oh, is there any questions first? Sorry. No. So we've got the council received the recommendation that council receive the chief executive report for August.
Yes, I'd like to move the motion.
Yes, thank you. Do I have the seconder? Anybody opposed? Will I put that to a vote then? All those in favour? Thank you. Item 12, living in the borough. It's item 12.1, Geelong Regional Library Corporation transition. You've got the officer here to speak to the motion. To the item, please.
Thanks, Mayor. This report seeks Council's commitment to continue participating in the transition of the Geelong Regional Library Corporation to a new shared service company limited by guarantee. The transition is required under the Local Government Act 2020. The intent is to preserve existing library services, including branches, programs, collections, staff roles and customer experience, while updating the legal and governance structure. The proposed model maintains the benefit of a regional shared service, including economies of scale, consistent service delivery, regional expertise and stronger accountability through future governance arrangements and service level agreements. Key risks including member council participation, governance, workforce transition and asset arrangements have been considered and are manageable through the next stage of detailed work. 4 other member councils have already supported similar resolutions. The recommendation before council is to commit to progressing toward a new company and note that detailed governance arrangements will be presented to council for future consideration.
Thank you. So it's David, sorry, just ask if there's any questions from councillors on the... No? Sort of... actually, I do have one. So in your briefing and things, you mentioned there was a resolution motion that we passed in 2024. And that we're just going to be ensure that that will be addressed at the next stage?
Yes,
Thank
it will.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion that would be like to be proposed on this agenda item?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I propose that Council 1 notes that the Local Government Act 2020 requires library corporations to transition to a new enterprise model by 30 June 2031. 2, notes that the Geelong Regional Library Corporation has resolved to transition to a company limited by guarantee, and that an executive steering committee comprising executives of the 5 member councils and GRLC is progressing the proposed governance and operating model for a new company. 3, notes the community and financial benefits of the shared service model outlined in this report. 4, supports the transition to a company limited by guarantee as the preferred shared regional library service model, subject to final council approval. 5, notes that a report will be presented at a future council meeting for council to consider becoming a member of the new company limited by guarantee, subject to financial modelling, proposed financial contribution, governance documents, service arrangements and material risks and liabilities for the borough, approving and authorising the execution of the new company's constitution, library agreement and any associated governance or service agreements. And 6, notes that council membership of a new company or authorisation of any associated agreement is subject to a subsequent resolution of council.
You do have a seconder on this motion. Thank you.
Yes, you do.
Yes, thank you. So, Councillor Tolhurst, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. As the Borough of Queenscliff representative for the Geelong Regional Library Corp over the past 2 years, I am pleased to present this motion to Council for consideration. You mentioned the 2024 motion, and I regard that and this as the sort of next milestone in an evolving library service that has served our region really well for many decades and is routinely and independently recognised as one of the best in the state. Libraries are important to our communities, some of the last truly free spaces we have in society, and one of the most significant expenditures Council has year on year. What the motion highlights is that partnership has been instrumental to a successful shared service model and is considered an important element of the future enterprise. If adopted tonight, all councils in the Corp currently, Queenscliff, Geelong, Colac, Golden Plains and Surf Coast, will progress to exploring how to get the best out of the partnership and enhance systems and services already in play. Importantly, the motion doesn't commit council to an end point, but signals ongoing collaboration with other members in pursuit of continuity of service and enhancement of service for our community. As the report details, under the proposed model, councils would continue to determine strategic direction, service levels, service changes and financial contributions. These arrangements would be formalised under a service level agreement approved by member councils, strengthening transparency and accountability. And this is already an enhancement in principle, as service level agreements are not formalised in the current model. I'd like to thank Abby, our representative on the Exec Steering Committee, all of the committee for their work over the past 2 years and beyond, and use this opportunity to acknowledge the recent appointment of David Semmons to the CEO of the Library Corporation, who was previously a senior officer, and I know will be a safe and steady and highly strategic pair of hands to guide member councils through this change. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron, would you like to? No comment. So it's nobody objecting to do. Yep, put it to a vote then. All those in favour? Thanks. Pass unanimously. We move to item 13, building the boroughs. Due to my conflict, I'll hand the chair over to Councillor Rule. Thank you for both items 13.1 and 13.2.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillor Monaghan. 13.1 is the Planning Permit Activity Report for July 2026, which you'll note was deferred from last month's agenda due to lack of quorum. Are there any questions to the officers regarding that report? There is a recommendation that the report be received. Do I have a mover for the motion as the recommendation reads? Thank you, Councillor Tolhurst. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cameron. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. The next item is 13.2 and it's the Planning and Permit Activity Report for August 2026. Are there any questions for this activity report?
No.
Do I have a mover for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Tolhurst. All those in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. Could we call back Councillors Monaghan and Grudar, please?
Thank you. So, item 14, back on track, we're running the borough. We have a 14.1 review of council policies. That's the recommendation on this item is that the council adopts and revise council policy of CP002 Community Service Awards as presented, councillors. Do I have somebody to move this motion? Was it recommendation?
Yes, I move the motion as the recommendation is worded.
Do I have a seconder? Yep, Councillor Tolhurst. Do you have Councillor Rule? So, like to speak, Councillor Tolhurst?
I think it's just great that we're trialling an inclusion of an emerging leader, responding to feedback in the community about how to represent our younger or emerging leaders, new members of the community, and of course always good to see that policy is benchmarked against other equivalent policies in the region and sector.
Thank you. Any objections? No? We'll put that to the vote. Anybody? All those in favour? Yep, passed unanimously. Thank you very much, councillors. 15.2 now with the Coastal Marine Management Plan. Would you like to... Thank you, Anne-Marie. Would you like to speak to the agenda item, please?
Thank you, Mayor and councillors. Taking the report as read, a revised draft Coastal Marine and Management Plan, or CMMP, dated 29th July 2026, is presented for council approval to proceed to public exhibition and community consultation in accordance with section 60(1) of the Marine and Coastal Act 2018. As manager of coastal Crown land, council must prepare a CMMP under the Marine and Coastal Act 2018. The plan sets a 15-year direction for managing marine and coastal Crown land under the borough's care, which represents about 10% of the municipality. The borough's existing management plan was prepared in 2006, is outdated. The revised plan substantially updates the December 2024 draft CMMP, which underwent extensive consultation but was not adopted by council. The revised plan retains the structure of the version exhibited in 2024, but has been shortened and simplified to improve usability, delivery and remove repetition. It's reduced actions by the number of 32 and by removing items that cannot be delivered within the time frame or funding available. The CMMP remains an aspirational 15-year strategy covering ongoing and business as usual operations, as well as short, long-term and future on-ground actions. It identifies priority infrastructure improvements, council funding opportunities and works that may be delivered by other agencies. It also provides a strong evidence base to support works through council's budget and external funding applications. Action delivery will reflect council's limited available resources and will be considered through the annual budget process and reprioritised according to budget and urgency, with quarterly progress reporting against council's annual plan. The CMMP contains 91 goals and actions. The borough is the sole delivery agency for 22 of these actions, and of these, 15 are funded or achievable within existing resources, while 7 require consideration through council's annual budgeting and reporting process. As the plan differs substantially from the version previously exhibited in 2024, it is recommended that the CMMP dated the 29th of July 2026 be placed on public exhibition in accordance with section 60 of the Marine and Coastal Act, which, amongst other things, requires a notice be placed in the Government Gazette and a newspaper circulating generally throughout Victoria. The proposed consultation process is consistent with the public exhibition undertaken in June and July 2024 and will include that the revised plan would be advertised in the Government Gazette, the Geelong Advertiser, the Ballerine Times and via council social media. The plan would be made available on the council website for a minimum of 28 days after the above advertisements and via council social media. An additional media release would be issued and published in the Ballerine Times. Direct contact will be made with previous submitters, community groups and organisations with an invite to make a further submission, and council officers would be available to discuss the changes. At the conclusion of the exhibition period, council as the Crown Land Manager must consider any submissions received and determine whether to adopt the plan prior to submitting the plan to Minister for approval. Thank you.
Councillors, any questions? No? Someone would like to propose them?
I'd like to propose the motion, slightly different from the recommendation. My motion is that council approve the draft Borough of Queenscliff Coastal and Marine Management Plan, 29th of July 2026, for the purpose of public exhibition in accordance with section 61 of the Marine and Coastal Act 2018.
Do I have a seconder? Yeah, Councillor Tolhurst, thank you. would you like to speak to the motion, please? Councillor?
We're all conscious of the need to get this CMMP through. We're told over and over by departments of the state government that we need such a thing in order to be applying for grants, etc. I note that this is a draft, and I've found quite a few things that need correcting, which we haven't had time to correct before it goes out, because it's got to go through quite a lengthy process apparently. And I wasn't back until the 10th of August to look at it. So I look forward to those alterations being included in our final plan whenever we see it. No doubt it's going to be a couple of meetings from now, since we've got the whole process to get through. But thank you for all your work, and thank you for getting it to the state that it's in. Thanks.
Councillor Tolhurst.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd echo those comments of Councillor Rule and just acknowledge this has been a long time in development, and it's had an enormous amount of iterations and people participating in project steering groups and the community. So I know I value, and a lot of the community will value, seeing this back on the table ready for exhibition again, and to look at that process optimistically. We get to hear from more people, and that's a good thing. We know it's an essential document for planning land use, progressing projects, renewing leases, capturing community ambition, and importantly, per the MACA, supporting our First Nations community to connect with land and culture. The document, as you said, has been in development since 2022, I think, before becoming finalised in 24, and signifies the most meaningful renewal of the document since 2006. Importantly, in your report recognises the 20 actions that have been commenced or progressed since the process of developing this updated document started, and that's excellent and shows when we've got a good plan what we can do, and even if it wasn't adopted. And while there's still a bit in the process to go, I'm really excited what's been achieved in line with the draft. We know it's ambitious, that's part of its intention. So yeah, I just look forward to hearing from the community and moving this one along, noting its importance. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any objections to the proposal of not sort of public exhibition? No. I'll put it to vote then. All those in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. Excellent. Item 16, list of council meetings. The council listening posts, the topics on environment, is this be held on this Monday, the 31st of August 2026 at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. here at the Queenscliff Hub. We have a planning review meeting on Wednesday, the 16th of September at 6 p.m. if required. Also, there is an ordinary meeting of council planned for the Wednesday, the 30th of September 2026 at 6:30 here at the Hub again. Item 17, questions without notice. 17.1, questions without notice. Status update. It's like there's no questions without notice that are outstanding. Thank you. 17.2, questions without notice. Councillors, do we have any questions without notice for anyone? No? Thank you. Move on to the next item. So item 18, urgent business. Now we'll come to item 18.18. As requested, have been received concerning the Queenscliff Hub auditorium fees. In accordance with clause 95 of the governance rules, urgent business may only be admitted where it relates to or arises from a matter which has arisen since distribution of this agenda. It cannot be safely or conveniently be deferred until the next council meeting and council resolves to admit the item. So I would actually like to put a motion in to admit the urgent business. So,
following the recommendation?
No. We have to go to a vote for the to admit the urgent business. So, I'd like to say to seek the motion that council. No, sorry. Yeah. That council having considered. Oh no, oops, lost my place here. Sorry. No, sorry. Yeah.
That's your motion.
No, in accordance with I seek the motion from fellow councillors to admit the urgent business. Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Tohos. Yep. All those in favour? Thank you. So the urgent business, the motion, Councillor Tohos, would you?
Thank you, Mayor. My motion that's submitting for urgent business is that Council amends the 2026-2027 council fees and charges effective immediately to add in a new venue hire fee under auditorium hire Queenscliff Hub as follows. Community group and clubs, Monday to Friday during the hub opening hours, ad hoc, not reoccurring, bookings only with CEO or their delegate approval, $0, with all other fees and charges remaining unchanged.
I, Councillor Rule, second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Tohos, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to recognise that this was a good way to be responding to community feedback, and that provided its immediacy or the urgency for resolving it, so it could be enacted effectively. And I certainly support making sure this is a facility accessible to our community.
Councillor Rule.
Just to add that it was an oversight and a simple mistake, and this is a great way of rectifying it, and I'm pleased the CEO suggested it. Thank you.
Anybody opposed? No? We'll put this to a vote then. All those in favour? It's passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 19, closed session of the meeting. It's just 7:36 p.m. in accordance with the sections 66 and 62A of the Local Government Act of 2020. The meeting will be closed to members of the public for consideration of the following confidential items. 19.1, major event sponsorship funding requested from the Queenscliff Maritime Museum. This agenda item is deemed to contain confidential information as per section 3(1)(g) of the Local Government Act of 2020, as it contains private commercial information, being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that relates to trade secrets or, if released, would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertakings to disadvantage. On these grounds, are these grounds applied to as the report contains confidential funding allocation? I would like to move, somebody would like to close the meeting and...
Did you need a mover?
Yes, I move it.
I move
yes.
it.
Yeah, thank you. And the seconder, Councillor Monaghan. All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you. Asked to clear the gallery.